TGIF, boys and girls, coming off a 3-sport day. Big ups to your Cleveland Browns for looking good last night. Really got that run game working, so good job for you guys. Had ourselves another hell of an NBA playoff game, and there was even some baseball rolling in the background. This Bieber kid you guys got from Cleveland, he doesn't suck.
He does not suck. And before we even start with any of that stuff, I will say, you were right. I was wrong. You're handsome. I'm ugly. You're rich. I'm poor. Name it. You're it. And I'm the opposite of it. Great call, Mike Thomas, last night. I was really hyped when Harrison Bryant caught that one ball, for like 20 yards, and he was in the lead for a minute. And then on Baker's pick, he was obviously going to Bryant. But it was like we talked about, since he was just throwing more at the end of the game, and Thomas got open and caught a touchdown.
I mean, how many times did Burrow throw it yesterday? 400? What was it?
Yeah,
He had like 400 attempts. It was a crazy amount. Got a little lucky. He scored a touchdown right there. He was targeted a few times. Nothing too special. I was glad he caught it at the end, though, because I was surging in GPPs on the NFL Showdown. I was at 5 times your buy-in at the end of the game. But I'm like, please throw a touchdown to Green or Thomas, and I'm going to go way up there. I'm like, just don't throw it to Boyd. Don't throw it to Boyd. And then he hits Boyd, and you're like, son of a gun. It didn't really hurt too much, but it definitely didn't help.
Definitely hurt me, and A.J. Green had one in his grasp that he could have pulled in.
Yeah, they should have called pass interference on that one.
I don't care about the pass interference. I just wish he had pulled it down.
Yeah, it's again, I was watching it with somebody else, and they're like, why is that not pass interference? I'm like, it should be, but you get calls wrong all the time in the NFL. It's just, they're human beings. It's just part of what it is. Anyway, we could talk about this one forever. We're going to run through the early baseball slate real quick because it is a 3-gamer. Before we get into it, guys, I want to encourage everybody to go check out the new matchup shop up on the overlay. Yesterday's picks they worked a lot better than the DeGrom pick from the day before, as Tanaka outdueled Chase Anderson. In fact, I'd say probably every pitcher on the slate outdueled Chase Anderson as he gives up about 8 runs over 2 innings to the red-hot New York Yankees. But you can come in here and make individual plays. We got baseball, we got NFL, golf, NBA. Try to get into some of this today. Should be fun. It's good times. Give it a whirl.
Yeah, it's really good times over there. I'm hyped to get into the big jackpot for football this weekend, which we will go over again.
Yeah, we will go through that hopefully again tomorrow. As far as this slate goes, the one thing that seems to be a misprint on here, and I'm even just going to refresh this really quick, is it looks like Robbie Ray is supposed to be going in the early game. I'm seeing a couple different things in a few different places. I don't know what you've heard.
Well, I know that with these doubleheaders, a lot of times things can change, so that doesn't surprise me in the least.
Okay, so I would just encourage everybody to pay attention to that because it seems like it's going to change throughout the day. Again, I don't know for sure. I know on ESPN, Daily Baseball Data, and a couple other places, they got Ray pitching the first game.
Okay.
So I don't know for sure. I haven't heard any official announcement. Just everybody kind of keep your heads up on this one. As far as pitchers go today, Mr. Bellman, can I assume that you're going to lock in your boy Sanchez?
Oh, hell yeah, right? You have to. He should be the highest price pitcher on this slate easily.
He's been fantastic. Nothing short of fantastic. In a pitcher's park, at home against a Washington team that I know they're coming off of a World Series championship. They're not very good this year.
I was going to message you last night when I was looking through this slate. Man, when's the last time Washington's been on a main slate?
Feels like it's been a while.
Right?
Definitely feels like it's been a hot minute or two. I don't know. Now that you say that, I hadn't really thought about it, but it's definitely been a while.
Yeah, so they're still not good, though. Listen, they've got a couple good hitters in their lineup. They're not awful, but Sanchez has just been really good. He's too cheap. And on a slate with, I would say, less than desirable pitching options, he's a lock for me. Because I don't even want to – there's hardly anyone I want to pair with him. Imagine not playing him, having to pick 2 guys.
Were you leading Eflin, or are you thinking Seymour has a breakout game? Or Robbie Ray if he gets pushed on the slate.
Yeah, yes, I could get on board with all of them. The guy I'm probably leaning towards is Martinez, especially with Ray at basically the same price.
Okay. I will say Robbie Ray's pitched a little better recently. It's really difficult to go to him because, well, you know how some of these starts have gone for him this year. Also, Philly is no Real Muto. He's out for at least the weekend. Segura is going to be out today as well. And they still have no Rhys Hoskins. So they are undermanned, to say the least. That being said, they got to Seth Lugo and Jacob deGrom, even if deGrom was injured the last couple of days. So it sometimes can be tough to feel like you want to pick on them.
Definitely. They still have a solid lineup with Harper and Didi in the middle there. Ray is surely in play, though, because Carlos Martinez is Honestly,
awful so far.
I don't even know if he's more volatile than Robbie Ray. He's just worse than Robbie Ray. Like Ray is more.
Ooh, that's a good question.
At this point in his career. I mean, he hasn't been good in a while. Well, actually, I take that back. When he was closing for them, he was pretty good. But as a starter, it's been a while.
I mean, the last time he was a good starter, Matt Carpenter was also a good hitter. So, I mean, it's been a while for St. Louis.
Now, to like the point where you say, ooh, that's close, like 3-4 years ago, I mean, Martinez was on the verge of becoming an ace.
Yeah, it's definitely been a hot minute. I mean, I even don't think I won't go here, but there's even like, you can look at Trevor Williams because St. Louis, they're not great. He's so bad this year that I couldn't do it myself.
Yeah, I was looking at him a bit because I agree with you. I'm not going to do it. But then when at the end of the day, like I don't feel comfortable with any of these guys.
No, and that's where Sanchez, who should be like extreme chalk today, I would assume, is going to just kind of lock you into him, your SP1, and then kind of flirt with these other guys. Like Eflin, I mean, I probably trust him the most out of all these guys. He's nothing special, but Toronto will strike out occasionally. He's been positive in every game this year. He's coming off his worst start of the season, so I actually don't mind that. I think gun to head, I'd probably go here, but I would say, like, if you want to go with Carlos Martinez, clearly Pittsburgh's not good.
So Eflin, the reason I don't want to go with Williams is because like Eflin just has so much higher strikeout stuff than him, and they're basically the same price, right?
I mean, Eflin's better than Williams. I was a fan 2 years ago. He's been god awful since then. He had like 2 okay starts this year that were semi-encouraging and has been getting shelled like you're playing Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the video game, since then.
Yeah, the other guy, I guess it's confusing. You said Robbie Ray because I still am thinking about Ross Stripling. I mean, if it's Stripling, he's only 4K. He sucks, but he's only 4K.
Yeah, he's been awful this year as well. And you don't really need the cap space today either. So, I mean, I think if you play him hoping for a nice start. I don't think you need the cap space necessarily just to go down to him because he's 4K.
Fair enough.
So, I don't know. I'll probably go Eflin. If Ray gets moved onto this slate, I'll basically flip a coin or just make a last-minute decision on this one. But I think we both agree Sanchez is the lock. And it sounds like you're leaning Carlos Martinez, and I really can't disagree with that. The options suck.
Why are you not leaning Carlos Martinez? Because he's not good, I guess is a good
answer. I mean, they're all not good. I feel safest with Zach Eflin. Again, he's not a great option. Trust me, I know he's not a great option. I just think that's who I feel safest with to not ruin the slate for me.
I think that you would agree with me on this, and it's probably not going to find out, with too much detail. But if I had a good idea of like where ownership was, I would really like that for this slate. Don't you agree?
Sure. Would you, especially if Ray gets bounced onto this slate, I would assume Sanchez is chalk, and then the other 3 guys all get not similar, but I don't think ownership would make a huge difference on them. I kind of feel like they'll all be spread out a little bit. That'd just be my guess.
I agree.
So, I mean, we'll see. It's still early in the day, and some of this stuff will play out. And I do think if Ray gets, moved to this slate, that him, Martinez, and Eflin all get, similar amounts of love.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, nobody's playing Fetty or anything like that. He just has no upside really either. Just not a strikeout guy, and not very good either. All right, so assuming we're rocking with about 43-37 per offensive guy, is there a specific offense you're trying to go after? Like, I'd love to pick on Williams, but the Cardinals are so uninspiring a lot of days. They are better against righties, though, which is weird because they're so right-handed heavy.
I think every offense on the slate is in play, except for Washington for me.
Yeah, and you could even one-off Soto if you wanted to because he's elite, but that's about it, right?
Yeah, of course. Soto and Turner are always in play, even with the pitcher you use. But as far as offenses I'm looking at, and surely I can get on board with Miami against Fetty, right? And then we got to know who's pitching for Toronto. If it's Stripling, I have more interest in Philly for sure. And then
most definitely, because it's like Harper had a great game yesterday. He's starting to look really good, but I'm not super pumped about the Robbie Ray Harper matchup. My thoughts are Harper takes a lot of walks. Ray gives a lot of walks. Harper probably gets you like 4 points and 2 walks.
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely less excited about it if Robbie Ray's pitching. No doubt about that.
Is there anybody specifically on Miami? Because Marte's been playing fairly well over the past week. We know he's a good upside play, so I would be wildly in favor of taking a look at like a Marte starting game.
they're very affordable. He's their most expensive piece. Miami's seems like an optimal stack here.
Right.
And I'm
Dickerson,
not gonna lie.
Matt Joyce.
Yeah, Matt Joyce, Dickerson, Marte, Aguiar. Depending on what their lineup looks like.
Also, if he gets the start today, Alfaro is locked in.
He pinch hit yesterday, so I kind of expect him to play. And then also, like, this is definitely a slate like this. I think you'll agree. Carlos Martinez is probably my second favorite pitcher, but I can definitely get on board with the Pittsburgh stack.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Pittsburgh's also terrible. We all kind of know that, but, they're our professional team, and with only 6 games in play, I mean, this is the time to take a look at them.
Yeah, right? Like, they only need to – exactly. So it's a small mountain to get to the top of.
Also, Polanco had a nice day yesterday and has overwhelming dominance of Carlos Martinez. 14-27, 4 doubles, a triple, a home run, 8 walks to 3 strikeouts, which is probably the most telling part of that whole stat line. A couple of stolen bases. Now, look, that all happened a couple of years ago when Polanco was better, but Martinez was also better. So, I mean, it doesn't mean much today since both of these guys can be pretty awful, but, if you're looking for something, he is dirt cheap, and as awful as he is, still owns a little upside due to power and speed.
Yeah. I mean, the more I look at this slate, the more I like Pittsburgh.
Man, you remember a couple of years ago when they had that outfield of McCutchen, Polanco, and Marte, and we thought it was going to be like the best outfield in baseball, and now it's just Polanco, and
Barely.
They're awful.
He probably won't be there that much longer.
No, you don't think they want to build around him?
No, they don't.
Probably
but he will definitely be in the lineup today, maybe hitting high up in the order.
You would think so. After a nice day yesterday and those numbers against C-Mart, I'm sure he'll make the lineup today. He's 2,600. Again, that's kind of why, I don't know, none of these pitchers are expensive enough. You can kind of just play who you want today.
I agree with that.
Is there anybody specifically from Pittsburgh you like, or just kind of messing around with the stack?
Polanco. Definitely Polanco. I mean, Polanco is probably my favorite piece with the game he had last night and the numbers he has off Martinez. Josh Bell, Moran. I mean, Bell's walked in every game for a while. Moran. They got to Dakota Hudson a little bit last night. And this is one on a main slate.
Did Hudson get hurt?
I
wasn't sure why he left after 2 innings.
Oh, I didn't even realize he did. Again, I think it goes back to the point where on a main slate, you would not be trying to go here probably, but with only 2 other games in play, you just need them to be better than 4 other teams, assuming they're better than the other side of this game.
Yeah, right elbow tightness, apparently. Interesting. Okay. Yeah, I'm with you on that one. I could definitely, because people don't want to stack Pittsburgh because they're awful, but, they can still be good for one day.
Yeah, exactly. And then I will say, if it's Stripling, Philly's my favorite offense on the slate.
Okay. Let's go back over to Philly real quick. Again, no Segura, no Real Muto, no Hoskins today. But if it is Stripling, then Harper's probably my favorite offensive play on the slate. We know how streaky this guy is, right? I'm hard on Bryce Harper, but when he's locked in, he is good. And right now, he's looking good after last night. 2 walks and 2 home runs. That's a great jumping off point for him.
And I think that potentially a lot of the lesser known players on all these stacks get low ownership because it's easy to afford basically whoever you want. So
it's a good day to leave money on the table just to be different in GPPs.
Exactly. I mean, it's baseball. Leaving money on the table is always in play, and a slates like this for sure. Man, I looked at Gurriel hard last night. Didn't end up there, though.
Yeah, guy's on fire right now. Over the last 4 games, he is 8 of 14 with 5 extra base hits. Only 1 strikeout in that time period. Obviously, he's feeling good right now. Very affordable. He's in play against Eflin. Again, I might play Eflin, but this is a spot, too, where I can play Gurriel and Eflin because I'm not expecting, other than Sixto, I don't expect 20 points out of any other pitcher.
So it lesser for me, but in the same vein, I can also get on board with the Toronto stack against Eflin. I probably like that more than you do, but I never mind taking a couple bets against him. And I think that Pittsburgh's in a higher upside spot against Martinez, but Toronto is better than Pittsburgh by a lot.
Better ballpark, too.
Well, it's in Philly, actually.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, so much better ballpark.
Yeah, duh. Toronto's not playing any home games this year, if I remember correctly now.
But still a nice ballpark.
Better ballpark still.
Yeah, exactly, for sure. So, and Teoscar's back also. I thought he was going to be out for the year. They're kind of pricey. They're not like the most optimal stack on the slate, but they're another one. Like they've got a lot of power. I mean, on a slate like this, they're in play. Like I said at the beginning, basically every offense on the slate is in play except for Washington.
It actually makes me like F1 a little bit more now that you tell me the game's in Philly, because I remember this from last year, I believe, too. Like he's been a better pitcher at home throughout his career.
Like that.
So ERA not well, under 4 this year. Solid whip, almost, what is that? 0.85 better in home games. Doesn't mean it works out today, but I completely understand the Toronto stack because they're a high upside team with all the power and speed that they have.
For me, the route to getting to Toronto comes from like if Robbie Ray is pitching, so then I don't like Philly that much, and I end up on Carlos Martinez, so that means I don't want to stack Pittsburgh, and then it's just like, okay, I'll use some Miami, I'll use some Toronto, you know what I'm saying? So like there aren't that many places you can go.
Yeah. Nobody's super desirable at the catcher position today at all.
And these are all first games of double headers, so watch for weird lineups.
Yeah, exactly. Again, if Alfaro makes the starting lineup, I'll go here. He's a decent hitter. Again, he hasn't had like a monster year, but we know this guy can hit, and he looks really comfortable at this moment. So I would probably go with Alfaro if he makes the starting lineup.
That makes sense. And I am seeing Robbie Ray also.
Yeah, I think it's going to be Robbie Ray, but we'll just, we'll keep our eyes peeled.
Yeah, I'm seeing it a couple places, so I'm pretty sure we can count on that.
All right. Alec Baum of Philly is a guy I can get on board with no matter who's pitching. If you want the one piece of cap space to get like Harper and Teoscar Hernandez, looked a little bit more comfortable in the 3-hole yesterday.
Yeah, he did look pretty good, so I'm about it.
Garrett Cooper or Aguilar? I would probably go with Cooper today. I watched Aguilar a bunch yesterday. He looked awful. I think he had 5 strikeouts or 4 at least.
Oh, bad day.
So if I'm choosing between the Miami first baseman, I'd go with Garrett Cooper today.
I'm with that.
I mean, they're pretty similar and, the same price and everything like that.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I'm probably not running to St. Louis today, but Williams is awful. So, paying up to Goldie is obviously in play.
I was just about to mention St. Louis. Or Goldschmidt, excuse me. I'm with you.
Yeah, St. Louis's offense is kind of lackluster. We've talked about that a lot, but he's not what he once was, but he's still a good player.
And I mean, I'll say this: like, they're no more lackluster than Pittsburgh.
Yeah, no, everybody is less lackluster than Pittsburgh.
So they're definitely in play on this slate. I mean, I know it doesn't make you feel great because they suck, but they're obviously in play.
I barely looked at the baseball slate last night. Did they end up being super chalky?
Yes.
Okay. And they were awful. They got
awful.
A complete game by Steven frickin' Brault.
Stop it. He threw a complete game.
Yeah.
That just falls in line with this week. Antonio Senzatella, complete game in Coors against Oakland. Kyle Gibson, complete game shutout in Houston. And Steven Brault, complete game against the Cardinals. Wow.
It's just a weird summary of why you like to play baseball differently. And a lot of people do, because it's so much less predictable than the other sports. Not that everything always works out the way you expect it to, but like the football game, other than being a little bit more high scoring last night, was exactly what we expected. Like the Miami-Boston game, I thought it'd be a close game. It was a close game. Like it's just more predictable. Baseball, you just get off the wall crazy stuff more often than not.
I mean, it happens all the time. The Braves this week, they were in Baltimore like every day, and they were chalky and sucked every day. Well, the day before that, on Sunday, they absolutely lit up Max Scherzer.
There you go. It does, in baseball, 1 + 1 + 1 rarely equals 3.
Mm-hmm.
As far as second base goes, I mean, Brad Miller is quietly having a solid season. That's a guy I could get on board with for St. Louis today.
Sure.
Gets to righty like Williams. Colton Wong, same thing.
Adam Frazier, I was looking at 3,100. He's like 6 of 13 off Martinez, and he's really cheap. Not that you need it, but he's just one of the better options, I think.
That's why it's not a very beautiful slate when we're talking about guys like Brad Miller and Adam Frazier being your better options.
Mm-hmm.
Tommy Edman is the one St. Louis guy I played last night. He's solid. He's in play at third or outfield.
definitely. I mean, he's like way too cheap, I feel like here, or much cheaper than he's been. And also, another guy here, this Brian Hayes, another double-digit game last night. If I'm stacking Pittsburgh, give me some Hayes.
Yeah, that works. And I definitely think Pittsburgh is going to be lower owned.
Well, for a couple of reasons. They're facing the highest price pitcher, and you don't need their salaries. Like that, they would get love here if they were like a Bieber and Bauer on the slate, right? And like you had to pay up and at pitcher, but you don't have that here. I'm with you.
Yeah, and they suck, and everybody knows they suck. But again, it's one day, and there's only a couple other teams out there you need to be better than.
Yeah, I'm really talking myself onto Pittsburgh here.
Nice year for Trey Turner. As bad as Washington's year is going, he's had himself a solid season. This is a one-off I could get on board with, though, because they're probably not going to put a bunch of runs up on Sixto. So if he can get on base, I'm sure he'll try to steal some bases.
And Washington's going to be very low owned, even as one-offs.
Yeah, exactly. And Trey Turner and Juan Soto are elite. I can get on board with either of them.
Yes.
Not like going out of my way to pay up for him, but because they're facing the chalkiest pitcher more than likely, this cuts down their ownership significantly.
Yeah, there's no doubt Sixto will be the most popular pitcher here.
Didi, if it is Stripling, even though we don't think it is, then I have some interest in Didi, though, as he's starting to play really well the last couple of days. And we have like to pick on Stripling a little bit.
Yep, I'd definitely be worried for like pinch hitting in the Phillies lineup today.
I'm sorry, you cut out for a second. What was that?
I'd be worried about pinch hitters in the Phillies lineup now that it's Robbie Ray on the hill.
Yeah, again.
You know what I mean?
Sure. Paul DeYoung, I'm sure, let some people down last night with his 0 for 4 with 2 Ks. But he's wildly in play with Williams. And if I remember correctly, he's a reverse split guy that's better against righties as well.
Yes, you do remember correctly.
Okay. And actually, like I was looking, I ended up having a little time extra to set lineups last night. And I was starting to look at all these Cardinals guys knowing that they were going to be chalky. And I was looking how, I went back a couple of years. A lot of these guys are bad against lefties despite being righties, which is highly unusual, which is one of the reasons I didn't go very hard on him yesterday. Williams is a righty, and he's awful. So do you think the fact that St. Louis let people down last night will lower their ownership a smidge today?
A smidge, yes.
Okay. That's kind of what I was thinking. Not that would be the only reason you'd play them, but, they're facing Williams, who's not good. So, I mean, this is a game where I could just stack St. Louis and Pittsburgh.
I could definitely get on board with that, too.
Right? Because if Robbie Ray's pitching for Toronto, which we think he will be, like, he gives up runs, but it's oftentimes due to walks, which doesn't equate to high points. Toronto's really hit or miss, and I respect Eflin. Obviously, we're not looking at Washington to get 6, though.
I mean, listen, we know that Toronto can go off. We talked about them, but, like, if you play Toronto and you play Pittsburgh, then St. Louis could go off. So it's like, you know what I mean? You just have to make the best play that you think is going to go off.
Yeah, and Miami's in play, but they're also not great offensively. So you're not loaded. There's no crush spots. As bad as the pitching options are, none of these offense line up to be crush spots today.
There definitely are no Yankees on this slate, for sure.
No, my God, are they hot right now. DJ LeMahieu can do nothing wrong. I played Gardner last night. He was awesome. I think the whole lineup homered.
Yeah, my one line that cashed, I ended up using Sanchez in it, and he was big time.
Yeah, I mean, man, the Yankees can hit. Good time for them to start getting hot again, too.
Right?
So, all right. That's kind of it. As you guys can see, it's kind of a lackluster slate overall. I think as we talk this one through, obviously we're going to lock in the Sixto chalk at pitcher. I'm probably going to end up on Eflin or Ray. Sounds like you might end up on one of those two guys or C-Mart. But as gross as it sounds, stacking St. Louis and Pittsburgh, any idea where you think the masses go?
It's interesting because I think Miami is a place that jumps out. But like I said, with all these teams, if people are going to stack, like they're going to be leaving money on the table. So I think stacking might be a little less common today.
Definitely possible. I mean, if you just click off the teams and start looking at the high price guys, like,
I mean, look at this. You got $4,400 per hitter right now. Like, let's say you just really like if you're not using Martinez, that means you think that they hit him a little bit. So you probably like Polanco at 2,600.
I can get on board with Polanco again. He ain't good, but he at least does the things that DK rewards.
I mean, I honestly, not gonna lie, I would love for Polanco to be like expensive here because I would still use him and his ownership would be even lower.
All right. So I mean, I guess start with the Pittsburgh outfielder and a former Pittsburgh outfielder. Because like Marte is a guy that even if you don't love Miami today, you got to at least like him a little bit. He's at least a good player who runs, hits for power, and everything like that.
Yeah, I mean, so if you're building an optimal line, like I don't think you're stacking here.
Yeah, and even if I'm using Eflin, I still like Gurriel. He's just flat out red hot. And like if I play Eflin, like I'm hoping for 15 points. That is not a complete game shutout. That is 6 innings, 3 runs allowed, 6 Ks.
Mm-hmm.
Which could be decent for the slate, but is clearly not a great start overall.
True.
But Brad Miller right here. Brian Anderson or Matt Carpenter or your boy, who did you mention right here? Hayes. Second base, we talked about Adam Frazier, Colton Wong, if you were to be hitting leadoff today, for example. There's plenty of money. Shit, you're going to be leaving money on the table unless you – that's just a good way to differentiate today.
Well, to be honest, like the only way to not leave money on the table is if you seriously like go out of your way to like not leave money on the table. You know what I'm saying? Like you play like Soto and Turner, like all the expensive guys. It is really hard to spend all your money on this slate.
It's a great day to leave money on the table then because like even the high price guys we don't think are musts, and you're just looking to, Goldschmidt just working through this is going to be pretty popular. Why? Because you have the money to do it. All you need now is Josh Bell to outscore Goldschmidt, which, it doesn't happen every day, but it happens enough that it's not uncommon.
Yeah, it happens more often than I think people would like to realize.
Or Garrett Cooper or whoever it is that you go down low to.
Literally whoever.
Right? Don't you think Goldschmidt's going to be real popular today?
Yeah, I think like all the expensive players on this slate get a lot of love except for Turner and Soto.
Which makes you kind of like again, it goes back to the Trey Turner can have a good day without Washington scoring any points, which is why I kind of like him. And Soto can one off a home run against anybody because, well, he's very, very good at the game of baseball.
Yeah, he's having, look at his, the year he's having.
He's awesome. You got to put him up in the conversation now with the best hitters in baseball.
I agree.
So, all right, guys, just kind of talking through this one. Best of luck today. These day slates kind of suck on DK these days anyways because the contest selection kind of blows.
Yeah, it sucks.
Like, there's just no tournaments that I enjoy playing during the day slates. There's no 3-entry maxes that are quality. Like, there's none of that, like, middle ground type of things. It's either, like, a solo shot for $1 or, like, I don't know what you end up playing in.
A lot of times I play, like, they have, like, yesterday was, like, a $10 to, like, 2,000 person 5K to first. So I threw, like, a couple lineups in that. Like, nothing crazy at all.
Yeah, the contest selection blows. Now the NBA playoff contest selection blows. Like, the biggest entries for double ups I saw yesterday were like 23.
Yeah, I saw that too. And the showdowns, like yesterday, the showdown NFL game had 3 times the contest selection that MLB did.
For sure. Just playing in like NFL showdown GPPs, like that Boyd touchdown knocked me down from being in like the 300 out of like 40,000 people to like 800. And you're like, how big is this contest? I didn't even realize how big it was when I entered. It's like, my God, are people obsessed with the NFL? And I can't blame y'all.
Yeah, this is true.
So, all right, guys, good luck today.
Thank you.